Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you had a great holiday. Wanted to talk to you today about a professor who went on CNN and actually happened to say, "All I want for Christmas is white genocide." Now, this was last year. More recently, he's had some more inflammatory tweets. But the guy does not seem to understand why people are mad at him for this. So let's take a look.
To listen to new messages, press 1.
You're nothing to me but just another target. You're dead, kid. Watch out. You want a white genocide? We're gonna start with you. We'll see you tomorrow.
George Ciccariello Lamar at Drexel University has gotten hundreds of messages just like these.
And you didn't stop at all to think that what you were doing might attract the witch?
Excuse me? Are you actually trying to blame the victim here?
What's the scariest threat that you received?
Threats that involve my child. That's something that no one wants to hear.
It started last December after he posted this on Twitter: "All I want for Christmas is white genocide."
Oh shit, here we go! It's on! Race war! Race war! Race war! Race war's on, everybody! It's going down! Shit is going down!
No one wants threats against their family. Can you not see how people would be pissed off about this? About you saying this? Now, the threats on you are not fair, and they should not be happening. But people probably perceive you calling for white genocide as a threat on their families. Now, not all white people are white supremacists or Nazis. And to say that, you're imposing that their kids and others should be killed as well. And you're mad because people threaten your family and your kids, and that's the worst threats you get. Don't say the things you say about that. Don't assume that you can say things without repercussions and then get mad if someone else says it. You're a shaper of young minds. You're a professor. This is not what you need to be spewing to your young men and women you're teaching.
More recently, he tweeted that Trumpism and the narrative of white victimization are to blame for the mass shooting in Las Vegas.
Do you stand by all your tweets?
Absolutely. I mean, I haven't tweeted anything that's, that's inaccurate or that it's not, part of a conversation or.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Not in that case.
If you want to know one thing,
satirical jab.
this right here is
fantasy.
cancer.
I mean, these are political debates, right? These are difficult conversations that we need to have.
How do you know something different about the Las Vegas shooter that police, his own family, and others don't? How did you talk to him? You called him up right before and you're like, "Hey dude, I hear you're shooting up the concert down there. Yeah, what'd you do? Oh, you're doing it because of Trump. Okay, cool." How is wishing genocide on any race part of a conversation? If the roles were reversed and it was a minority race, there would be outrage from you, I'd bet, and outrage from your students.
Chikara Lamar is one of hundreds of professors who've been featured on the Professor Watchlist, one of several sites with a similar mission.
We're not saying these professors should be silenced. Instead, we're pointing out what has become a systemic problem in our universities, where professors are able to say things that are completely outrageous.
A California professor on the list got death threats after she was critical of Trump's election.
"We have been assaulted. It's an act of terrorism."
A Princeton professor received death threats after saying that President Trump
is a racist, sexist megalomaniac.
There's an entire cottage industry for reporting on controversial things that faculty members say, which then riles up internet outrage mobs who then try and get schools to get rid of people who they disagree with.
Are you stupid or something?
They need to be held accountable, and so do anyone who has these weird mindsets of destroying a whole culture and a race. And whether that's the far right or progressives like this professor needs to be held accountable for his words and his actions, because he could incite violence just like others can incite violence based on others' races. It's the same concept. Now, if this site is a doxing site or anything like that, similar to Social Autopsy, there's some issues I would have with it. But if it's just people, posting these comments of where he's saying it, it doesn't make it necessarily a good or a bad thing. These people are in the public spectrum and can be found on their own, and it's probably been all over the news, things they say. It's not only outrage mobs. I have to tell you that. It's people who just don't want to hear about how horrible it is to be white. I'm a white guy. I believe in equality. I really hate hearing about how horrible it is to be white these days, but you know what? It doesn't bother me. You say what you want, but you know, it's okay to be who you are. You're an individual. That's the thing. I'm an individual. My skin does not define me. It's my actions that do, as do everyone else.
Last year, more than 100 incidents of targeted harassment against professors have been reported on college campuses.
Probably because these professors have said something inflammatory and pissed off some crazy people. Of course they're going to get threats. It's going to happen. It's horrible, but it's going to happen.
This is the front page.
What's the end goal here?
Well, hopefully we get college campuses to be more intellectually diverse. They're not representative of the country, and they're dominated by liberals or institutional leftists.
Some of these professors have gotten death threats as a result of being outed on these websites. Do you see that the Watchlist has responsibility for that?
Yeah. It's not your fault. What? It's not your fault. I know. It's not your fault.
I don't have sympathy for people that are in public life that say these sort of statements and then try and play the victim card.
Not liberals, more like progressives. Progressives who have this ideology that white people are horrid and they should all die. It's not liberals. And he's also not wrong here. You don't say crazy things and you won't get crazy people responding.
We're talking about death threats. People calling for me to be shot, lynched. They call for my wife to be raped and my kids to be shot in the head.
At Trinity College in Connecticut, sociology professor Dr. Johnny Williams has also been a target.
I hope you get what's coming to you. Thank you.
My God.
Yeah.
The threats came after he shared an article using the hashtag #LetThemEffingDie.
I was only quoting an article that had in the title, "Let Them Effing Die." He wasn't talking about all white people. He was saying, what if racial bigots, what if we ignored them and let them die?
I mean, you used a hashtag, #LetThemDie.
Yeah.
Could some people see that as a incitement to violence?
No.
Death threats are never okay. At all. And this is very bad for him to be receiving these things. Why would you use a hashtag if you don't understand the meaning behind it? And to push this and be mad that the college suspended you, maybe pick and choose what you post on social media.
I think if people had the correct idea about what white supremacy is and what whiteness is as an ideology, they would have a different point of view.
We did place Professor Williams on leave while we were assessing the facts of the case. We believe strongly and absolutely in academic freedom, but every freedom comes with responsibilities and limitations.
Well played.
Thank you.
Just remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
How did it feel when you found out that your school wasn't standing behind you?
I felt disgusted with the way they responded and the way they treated me.
Correct view of whiteness. So you're saying it's okay, the things you say and others may say, because of the fact that it's towards white people. If the roles were reversed and it was a minority, it would not be okay. But since it's a white person, it's okay. Rightfully, he should have been placed on administrative leave. That was a very smart call by the administration and others, because he could be inciting issues and problems. And if it was a white person who said inflammatory things about a minority group, that person would be held accountable for their words. Now, academic freedom, he can say whatever he wants, but if he breaks policy and breaks the rules, he's going to be held accountable while they're investigating his words. Everything has consequences, and you have to understand that. As a professor, you should understand that your actions and words have consequences. You're shaping young minds.
We're still waiting on a couple people.
After his tweet about the Las Vegas shooting, Drexel put Chikara Lamar on administrative leave.
Stop!
Citing safety concerns due to a growing number of credible threats against him.
Now I'm teaching my classes online.
Are you allowed on campus?
I'm only allowed on campus with a police escort.
Bring back GCF! Bring back GCF!
You're marching to the provost to ask for your professor back.
To demand, yeah. To demand for our professor to be reinstated.
In a statement to CNN, Drexel said in part that it's committed to ensuring that its campus is a safe environment for those who study, teach, and work at the university, while upholding its foundational commitment to academic freedom.
We're actually taking away the controversial discussions that need to happen at universities. We need to have tough discussions because there's a lot of bad things going on.
Dr. Williams will be back on Trinity's campus to teach next semester.
What else is going on?
But Professor Chikara Lamar doesn't know when or if Drexel will allow him back in the classroom.
Even if these were credible threats, which I don't believe most of them are, you don't run away from threats from Nazis and white supremacists, especially if you're a university. You can't cow to these sorts of threats, or you encourage them.
As for the school, better safe than sorry is a very smart call, because they don't want one of these crazies who are making death threats against you to end up on campus or end up hurting a student. So they want to be smart about it. And maybe next time, don't put it out in the public spectrum so heavily. You're gonna get the crazies. It's gonna happen. As for the students who are marching to free our professor, free the professor, free the professor who views the same views as us, but if it was a different professor, we would be running him over and rioting and forcing his resignation, would you not? You would be so mad and frustrated that, look at Laurier in Canada. People are mad because teaching aide showed a Jordan Peterson debate and they're out there saying she should resign and that this isn't free speech. It'd be the same exact thing if it was a white professor who said something inflammatory about a minority. So don't act like you social justice mob here want your professor back because, oh, he's such a great professor. No, it's because you share the same views as him. And if you didn't, you guys would be calling for his, let's say, execution and firing. Also, dude, you seem like the kind of kid who would want a safe space.
Oh, no. Oh, we should film it.
And to say that, oh, these are tough talking points, no. Tough talking points are against people who you don't agree with and having a conversation. What you have right here is you're mad because someone you agree with got in trouble for their actions, as would someone you wouldn't agree with if they said something inflammatory as this. So on that note, guys, it's simple. It's like this. Colleges need to change. And they need to be willing to understand that if they're going to hold a certain segment of people accountable for things that they deem are hate speech and wrong speech, then they have to hold everyone accountable, including this professor who said all he's dreaming for last Christmas was white genocide. And you know what? I'm glad they're holding him accountable. And if it were a white person saying something about a minority, I'd be glad they were holding them accountable as well. You know why? Because idiotic statements
dripping with autism
made by idiotic people and hateful people should be held accountable. Just because it's a white person saying it about white people or a minority saying it about a minority or a person of color doesn't make it any less hateful. Alrighty guys, thank you for watching my video. If you like what I do here, please subscribe to the channel, throw a like on the video. Also, down in the links are my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow me there for some behind the scenes stuff. Thank you guys, I appreciate you, and I will see you soon. Alright, good night.